quick reminder for those who are wondering, are the Trumps a bunch of GD criminals? Are they really as bad as I recall from a week ago, from the last time we saw shenanigans? Yes, is the answer. Here's David Pakman with a wonderful short.
Been broached at Trump's fraud trial that a penthouse in New York City that the Trump organization valued at $21 million conflicts with the $8 million price that was offered to Trump's daughter to buy it. Now, you could say, well, he's just such a good person that they're giving her the option to buy it at a significant discount just because he's nice. Does that sound like the Donald Trump that we know? And so now this is yet another property. Is it worth $8 million or is it worth $20 million? That for different purposes and in different ways, the value is coming under scrutiny. This one doesn't look like it's going to end well for Trump. It has now been broached at Trump's
And it repeats. All right. Why show that? Now, it's an example of the sort of thing I find us arguing with MAGA folks about all the time. They will then turn around and say, well, can't he give a deal to his daughter? Yeah, he can. My question is, did she fill out the taxes for the gift? If it's worth $21 million and she paid $8 million, let me just do something real quick here. 21 minus 8. What? 13. Okay. $13 million. That's how much of a gift she was theoretically given. Did she pay the taxes on that? Don't worry about her. She can afford to pay $8 million for something. So she could theoretically afford to pay the taxes on a $13 million gift. That's the difference between what she paid and the value the property was listed as. Now, if you're thinking, or rather, if your MAGA folks turn around to you and say, well, who cares? Who cares? It's a little money. What difference does it make? It's just a business deal between family members. Ask them why it is that we establish the value of things like that. Here's a question. Ask Sam Cedar. Ask Emma Vigland. Ask Matt Binder. How much are apartments in New York right now? Are they wildly overpriced? Yeah, because the landlords who own the land have overvalued that. This allows them to justify charging you all the money you have for the privilege of existing in a space. That's what it allows them to do. It drives rent prices up for everybody. It drives the price of purchasing a home up for everybody. And when the time comes to sell those buildings and the people cannot get back the money that they paid for them, when they find that their $21 million apartment is actually just worth $8 million, then we have 2008. Then we have the bubble bursting. That is why we have things like a gift tax. That is why it is important not to lie in these forms. But more importantly, that's why it's important that we enforce the law when it comes to lying on these forms. What can you do? Enjoy the popcorn. Just enjoy the popcorn. They're going to get caught for this. This is basically open and shut. I do not see any way that they wriggle out of this. However, do bear in mind the way we talk about this, or when you have conversations about another similar thing with MAGA types. Ask yourself what if everybody behaved this way? What are the consequences for this behavior? It's fairly straightforward. You don't need a giant book of figures, and you don't need to throw a dozen different websites at these people and ask them to go do research into why they're wrong. That no one's going to do that. But you don't need to. All you need to do is point out the flaws in their logic. Ask what would happen if everybody behaved this way? What would happen if we did not enforce these laws? What are the consequences, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And I think you'll find these conversations generally end with the phrase, I just like them. Yeah. These are people who perversely, right now, have been trained to enjoy the suffering of others. That's the only enjoyment they get, really, out of life. So memorize the kinds of arguments you make. Very simple, very front page stuff. Very, cover page stuff. Give them the synopsis. Ask what would happen if everybody behaved this way, and what are the consequences for this behavior? What happens when people act like this? We don't get the correct valuation. In this case, we don't get the correct valuation of an apartment. And also, yet again, taxes are dodged. They got a big loan, presumably, from a bank based on the value of the property that they listed. Fraud to the bank, right there. And they dodged taxes because they said it was worth X, and then they paid X minus $13 million for it. That was a $13 million gift. Did not pay the taxes for it. You just can't do it. They denied then a bunch of schools, extra facilities, a bunch of roads, lack of potholes. That family, that filth, is responsible for us living life just a little bit worse so they could live it a lot better.